can you believe it that we actually made it to 10 episodes of this podcast? I don't know either. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 10 of Under the Middle Rope. I'm your host, Jose Tabata, and yes, the fact that we already made it to 10 has been amazing. And of course, once again, I just do gotta say thank you so much for your continuous support, and hearing that is just more motivation to keep going. It's great. We're having fun. We're laughing week after week, and I'm very happy I brought this back. So episode 10 is here, and once again, thank you so much. And episode 10 comes at the fallout of what a crazy pay-per-view from AEW was last Saturday. Of course, I'm talking about Double or Nothing. A crazy show from start to end. A lot of fun, a lot of good content on that pay-per-view, and kudos to AEW for pulling that off. Andrew Wolf Woltman, Alex Mirza, Pete Atkinson, they're all here. Unfortunately, RJ couldn't make it. We wish he was here, and not that anything's wrong with him, just unfortunately we couldn't make it, and we miss him. We miss him. He's a great dude. So the four of us, we sat down where we gave our thoughts, and there's so much to get into. And before I do, I just want to point out that it is very hot in Toronto right now. It feels like 33 degrees or 91 for the Americans, and it sounds pointless now, but I say that because I do have a window open, and there's a fan going, and throughout the episode, you do hear stuff from out my window, out from the street. I don't know what was going on out there, so I apologize in advance. But I need to breathe. This window needs to be open because we're slowly dying here. But anyways, that's besides the point. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our Double or Nothing fallout. All right, everybody, welcome to the discussion. The gang's all back. Andrew Wolf Woltman, Pete Atkinson, Alex Mirza. Unfortunately, our great friend RJ Stacy was unable to make it. A wild Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I think we can all agree that it was an overall success. Fair or not, gentlemen? Are we all in agreement with that? Somewhat. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. This is something I want to start off with right away because I didn't do it in the last fallout, but our wonderful Pete Atkinson, who, by the way, today has improved internet, God bless, is no longer our Under the Middle Rope champion. He had what is now officially the shortest reign, and probably will be the shortest reign for a while, given that we don't have an AEW pay-per-view until September, or unless we include Fyter Fest. But we instead do have a new Under the Middle Rope champion, and it's not Alex Mirza, who came dead last in the predictions. It is everybody's favorite, everybody's go-to unofficial podcast host, the great Andrew Wolf Woltman. Congratulations, buddy. I would have thought he would have said something. For those listening on Spotify, I am sorry that you just got a blank...
audio listeners!
A blank... I'm sorry, you got a...
You need the full image here in my prestige. You need to see your champion.
How dare you listen to a podcast the normal way.
I do recommend you guys watch this on YouTube. Really full visual effects.
I bring in props for these people.
I bring the darkness. I am the thunder.
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. Pete Atkinson. I don't know about Screw, but let's take a look at that. Let's go to the graphic of all the results here. We all got MJF right. Pete and I got Nyla wrong. Chris Statlander, she won. That was expected. A big deciding moment, or one of the factors of the deciding moment, was Cody winning. Wolf and Alex that gave them a big lead, and of course Nyla was the one that buried Pete and I officially. And then we'll get to the mystery competitors. You can see there. What decided the win for Wolf was the time of the AEW title match. It went roughly about 15 minutes, I believe. And given that Wolf had the shortest amount of time with 23:07 and Alex picking 25, and this going way under those 10 minutes under predicted times, it locked up Wolf to win. So congratulations to you. He will be back, as if he's not here every week, for Backlash.
You have a great kitchen.
Thank you. It has been a great kitchen.
I'll get you, Wolfman, next time.
Googly.
I'll also at this time I would like to say farewell to Alex Mirza. This is the last predictions episode for him. So congratulations, Alex. Hope you had a great time. Let's run through that card, shall we? Let's start out with the first match. Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander. It was originally Britt Baker, but unfortunately, Britt Baker suffered I believe was an ACL. She is out for a significant amount of time. At the time of this recording, which is the Monday, we don't know what the status is, as we'll find out this coming Wednesday. Of course, this releases Friday, Wednesday for your patrons. So by then we'll know what's going on with her. Very basic match, I think. Let's start with the champion. Wolf, your thoughts on Statlander and Ford?
I didn't have too many thoughts on it. It just kind of seemed to go through the motions. It wasn't anything spectacular. No one really expected it to be anything spectacular. They did what they needed to do. It got the point across. It was a nice cool down match. So I really don't have any significant thought. There's nothing wrong with it. There was just nothing special about it.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I'll agree with that. Mr. Atkinson?
I miss being referred to as the champ already.
It was like 2 weeks. Deal with it. Jeez.
It was a short time, yes.
Come on, I'm the biggest underdog here. Like
We've never doubted it. We've never doubted your underdog status.
Yeah, Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander. Obviously, Ford coming in last minute. It was the result that it had to be honest. It got Chris Statlander over pretty big. She was fairly dominant in this match. And it was fairly short. It did the job. The right person won. And like I said, it was pretty much a filler match in the card.
Lex?
This was a match. That kind of felt more like a Dynamite match than a pay-per-view match, but that's where the cards fell. Not much else to say about it. I mean, both Ford and Statlander, I think they're very good, but they do have some polishing to do. And they got plenty of time for it, and sometimes they can be a little sloppy, miss cues, things like that. But there was only a couple moments of that in this match, and for the most part, it did what it had to do, and it was fine.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this was essentially the breather match, the let's get up and walk around match, go to the washroom match for sure. But again, straightforward. Obviously, I think we're all in agreement that had Britt not torn her ACL, she would have been winning this match. And obviously, this was just a little boost for Statlander after the last few weeks. So it was like kind of like the fortunate situation for her to kind of get be off on that high note. But again, like you guys said, it was what it was. Let's move forward because again, there's nothing to it. MJF, Jungle Boy, MJF coming out with the win. I'm going to start in saying I was impressed. I was looking at this card, and obviously, I know it's you have a really, really strong guy in MJF, and then Jungle Boy maybe not as high regarded in that sense. The man held his own weight. The man put off an incredible performance. Both of them did. I was completely blown away. This to me, this is like the dark horse for like match of the night. I think. I just thought it was incredible all around. Good on them. Again, MJF winning was the right call as we all predicted. Let's start with you on this.
This is probably my favorite match on the whole card. I said before that I really enjoyed their match from Dynamite. I knew for the pay-per-view they were definitely going to step it up a little bit, do more, and they absolutely did more than that match. But either way, it was a fantastic match. I love the psychology, the storytelling going on. I hate to sound like a smark, but I love the storytelling of Jungle Boy, his arm being injured the entire time, and MJF, hurting his back near the end of the match, and just there was so much great wrestling, just classic wrestling going on in that match. And I definitely could see this could be a match we see in maybe like a couple years for a title. We could see this match for a title at some point down the line. I think definitely these two are absolutely the future of AEW. So great match. I loved it.
I like that. I liked it a lot. I don't know. Interesting to say about Jungle Boy because I know a lot of people don't put Jungle Boy in the word with the word.
I think he could. I think he could. One day. I think he's in the tag team right now, but I think he could be the one to kind of break away. He's young. He's got a ton of talent. He's very athletic. He's the fans love him. I could see him being almost like a Daniel Bryan for AEW in a way.
All right, I like that. I like that a lot, Mr. Atkinson. Pete, did we already lose him through internet? That was quick. Like this was brand new. We just upgraded like 20 days, like 2 days ago. Pete, are you there? Pete, are we there?
I am literally. I'm checking everything right now. I have no idea.
We can hear you.
You're good. You're good.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Best running gag of the podcast.
Yeah. I'm literally. Yeah. I'm checking over everything. My internet was running at perfect capacity all day. Suddenly, podcast starts. All the download speed drops, all the upload speed drops entirely, and I have no idea what's going on. So
you're good. Go on.
So MJF Jungle Boy?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
No, we stopped talking about that 20 minutes ago. You've been lagging.
Yeah.
Let him talk.
No. Let's focus.
It was the best. It was the best technical match on the card, probably from my point of view. The match itself. It went long. I think it was longer than most people expected, but I did think this was the sleeper match to be a hell of a match of the night. And it was not in my opinion match of the night, but technical match of the night. And I think there's some great spots in this. That a Poison Rana on the apron, I think was a ridiculous spot that was sold perfectly. The top rope powerbomb, I thought was excellent. And all these spots just worked out, and they put on an absolute clinic. And I love the finish as well. It was very Zack Sabre Jr.-esque, a little bit Bret Hart versus British Bulldog style in that as well. I just love that finish. I love technical finishes out of nowhere, especially coming from someone like MJF where you don't expect it. So, no, I thought it was a brilliant match.
Wolf
champion. Oh, come on. If he's allowed to milk his own right.
What did he champion? What did he champion, Wolf?
Can I point out that when Pete was champion during the period, I didn't say champion. I kept referring to him as Peter, as Pete, as Atkinson, as sexy boy, as gorgeous. You know, like I'm going through all
those were true. All those are true.
You know, so you'll get your adjective. You know, just let it simmer. Like you make your statement. Let's go.
Okay, obviously, I think this is a great match. You know, two great competitors. They've shown what they can do together before, and they stepped it up a notch. What I really like is that MJF is the heel. I think we always talk about how good he is on the microphone as a character. We don't really talk a lot about how he is in the ring. And it kind of builds him as a more credible heel that he has someone like Wardlow, but he's not relying on Wardlow to cheat for him. He's not, winning completely clean all the time. But more often than not, he can at least back up what he says in the ring, and he can win on his own. And that's what makes a good heel. Like, I don't need a million different heels that have somebody on the outside helping them win, or they just escape by the skin of their teeth. So you got to back it up at some point, and MJF is able to do that. So kudos to changing it up a little bit.
If I'm not mistaken, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it is now a 13-0 record in 2020 for MJF, or a 12-0. I know, like the obviously due to stats, I know something we don't talk about enough on the podcast. I think the point is he's had a perfect record going into
12-0 sounds more like just for the entirety of it.
Because
he didn't wrestle that much in 2020 because of the pandemic. So
right, sorry, yes,
now.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot the stat. Thank you for correcting me. I forgot the stat, but the point is the man is on fire. I want to see the man continuing to be on fire, not literally. And I think any day now we'll see him for that title. I hope it's soon. I hope it's sooner than later, I should say. But for now, big kudos to MJF. The AEW Women's World Title. Hikaru Shida became your new AEW Women's Champion, defeating Nyla Rose in that no disqualification match. That was surprisingly fun. I have to say, like they used their weapons well. They used the environment well. You know, the poker chips, the pool, the poker tables, and all that. I was a big fan of it. And again, Shida really impressed me because I haven't seen enough of Shida for the most part. I know I've seen Nyla, but Shida definitely not. And I was like, I picked Nyla, but I was very happy to see Shida win. I thought she was deserving. And again, just a good spot for her to be in the company right now, a deserving women's champion. Again, not that Nyla wasn't, but I'm happy for Shida. I really am. This is great for her, and she really impressed me in the match. And I thought it was a good match all around. Lex?
Well, I'll echo what I think a lot of people have been saying is I thought this was probably the best women's match they've had in AEW so far. Just everything was, everything made perfect sense. I didn't notice this until I was going through my notes later, but like the way they kind of built it around the kendo stick, the Shida's kendo stick, like it played a huge role in the match, and it was kind of the basis of the feud in a way when Nyla Rose stole it. But they kept going back to it. They kept using it. It was used in the finish and everything like that. But yeah, I thought this match was really, really good. I think Shida, I definitely prefer her to Riho. Rio's not here, so I won't talk ill of her, but Shida, everything made sense. Everything was sound. Like nothing. They saved the big moments for when they mattered, and they didn't, do too much. I don't think. And I think they did. They put on a really, really good match, and I think it was the right call because Nyla Rose can't be around to defend the title as much as Shida can clearly. So this is the right call, and I look forward to seeing a rematch between them down the line. But yeah, really, really good match.
Atkinson.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly what Lex did. I think this is the best women's match there has been in AEW so far. And I'm surprised by that because I'm not the biggest Nyla Rose fan. I didn't think she'd done a lot to prove herself, but the amount she's come on since winning that title to losing that title, and honestly, in that short period of time, she has come on so much. And she was brilliant in this match. Obviously, Shida has probably been the most consistent performer in AEW's women's division, but this match was excellent. It was probably the second best technical match on the card, in my opinion, behind that MJF Jungle Boy match. But again, I thought they utilized the environment perfectly. They utilized the no disqualification perfectly. And I really didn't expect them to shift the title off Nyla, but I'm not upset that they did.
Wolf.
Definitely the best AEW women's match that we've had so far. And I'm very happy that Sheeta won. I'm happy that she won in a match that she came out looking great. Nyla Rose looked great. I'm sure there's going to be big things for her in her future too. But I'm excited at the prospect of having Sheeta there because I feel like we can start telling some stories week to week in the women's division rather than it just being about, who's the top contender. And I was really looking forward to a Britt Baker feud, like even based off of that match that we saw. Who knows? We might still get like seeds of that because if Britt Baker is well enough that she can, tell us what's wrong with her and appear in vignettes, which I really, really want, then we can keep that alive and keep teasing it, even if that's not what we get right away. So we'll see where it goes.
I think it's safe to say that I'm assuming Chris Statlander will be the next contender unless Nyla does get a rematch. This could go anywhere.
I don't think they do rematches in AEW.
Do they? I don't think so. I'm not
Maybe?
100%
I don't know.
positive. Yeah.
Rather have been no title matches really now.
Regardless, I do still think that Statlander will be one of the next few people to get our opportunity. So I'm sure that's something we'll all look forward to. So the one thing I did say last week is that matches that we'll do our predictions, but matches will get suddenly added on after, and we're gonna miss it. If it was on the main card, it would be put in. And of course, one of them was Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes. Of course, that's where I got excited because I picked Dustin to win, which nearly brought back the title home. It never happened. It is what it is. But I think the biggest takeaway out of that was, what the heck was that? I think that's the safest, cleanest way I can say it on this podcast. There was a very little Shawn Michaels Montreal 2005 moment, with playing the music and all of a sudden, nothing happens. But it amazes me how many people wanted Shawn Spears, Ty Dillinger in a much better spot from WWE. What he had, was to consider a jobber. He wasn't used enough, blah, 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 blah. Was like hot in NXT, didn't happen. And a lot of people were saying, this is it for Shawn Spears in AEW. This is his big moment. And now here we are just a few days removed from Double or Nothing. And he was out with his boxers, his ass essentially nearly halfway out. I believe that was Tully Blanchard on the front, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, well, I think this is just an example to show, not everybody is going to be put on that quick pedestal because they were misusing WWE. Not that Shawn Spears isn't great, but it's just like what happened? I don't know what else to say. I mean, great for Dustin to get that win after we thought he was retired, but that was just, I don't know what to say. I'm going to start with Atkinson on this one, but this was just so. It was sad. It was just sad to see that. I don't know what else to say on that. Pete, let's start with you.
This is the worst thing that AEW have done so far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was dreadful. It was absolutely terrible. The only redeeming quality about this match is that it was short. And it was over within about 3 or 4 minutes. That is the only redeeming quality that there was to this. I was never a Ty Dillinger fan. I didn't get him back in WWE. Never have. I thought maybe Shawn Spears might prove me wrong. I don't know whose idea this match was. I don't know if it was Spears. I don't know if it was Dustin. I don't know if it was a producer. Whoever's idea it was should basically be fired because it was shockingly bad. It was so unbelievably bad that I can't even try to defend it. The only people who might have enjoyed it is like a 6-year-old with potty humor, and that is maybe it.
That's fair to say. I'm gonna go with Wolf next. Lex, we'll save you for last on this. Wolf.
Well, as a 6-year-old with potty humor, I just want to say that. No.
That is offensive to 6-year-olds with potty humor.
This was terrible. No, I didn't like it. The AEW is doing really good work. This wasn't it. I had picked Shawn Spears, and the second he came out in a suit instead of his wrestling gear, I'm like, well, he's going to get squashed. But so I kind of accepted that that's where it was going. I didn't think it would be as laughingly bad. I'm somebody that loves comedy in wrestling if it's done right. This was not done right. I don't need to see that Ty Dillinger has a picture of Tully Blanchard on his, covering his horn to, I don't know what the point of that even is. But, or I just don't even know what to say. This just did nothing for me. I didn't like it. Yeah.
Lex.
Remember this? Remember when everyone was doing this? Remember when a whole arena of people were doing this and they all lost their minds when he came out number 10 in the Royal Rumble?
I want to point
Does
out that he was
anyone
just
remember that?
like it then.
for the Spotify listener, for the podcast listen, for the audio
sorry,
listeners,
yeah.
just doing the 10 motion.
10,
but yes, 10, please, as you were.
People
Which, by the
people-
way, can I point out that we started that at an NXT takeover in Toronto? Thank you very much. You're all welcome for that. Sorry, Lex, as you were.
Yeah, no, people
It was horrible.
People were doing that. People were chanting 10 on like countouts and stuff, like 1, 10. Everyone's doing that. Like he was a huge, like he had his own thing going. He had like a Daniel Bryan almost yes thing going, and just the WWE main roster just failed to capitalize on it, and a lot of people were sad about that. And then he comes into AEW and he immediately is put in this big feud with Cody, he smashes him in the head with a chair, and just he's bleeding all over the freaking ring, and everyone's booing him, and he has this real legit heat. They put him with Tully Blanchard, one of the Four Horsemen, one of the most like dastardly great heels in all of wrestling, who fought Dusty Rhodes like for years on end and everything. And there was so much potential going in for Shawn Spears, and now he comes out doing a little dance in a freaking a suit, like a cheap looking suit. He gets stripped down to his boxers. He does the Shawn Michaels Montreal promo with no fans in the crowd, so it really does not work at all. Like I don't know what they were thinking. Like this felt like what when Brian Alvarez said. This felt like something like WWE does when they're about to when someone's about to get fired, when they're about to get rid of someone, or just when they're done with somebody completely. This is the kind of thing it feels like they do with that kind of person. And now to see AEW do it with somebody who is very talented and has potential and could be something good. It's just I don't know whose idea this was. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. It wasn't funny. It buried Shawn Spears even more, and just it helped no one. And it was just it would have been bad on Dynamite, but it was really bad on pay-per-view. So.
I will say this, as the truck is telling us to back off. It's okay. I have my window open as well. If we hear any car noises from outside, I'm sorry, because it's extremely hot in Toronto, 32 degrees, 91 Fahrenheit for the Americans in the crowd.
We don't have a studio.
We don't have a studio. Oh Lord, that would be a dream. I'll say this. It's amazing how many people complain about WWE and their antics. They go to AEW as the away from that quote unquote, and I hate saying it's a sports entertainment value of it, and this just fuels that fire of telling of it just fuels that fire of people just maybe egging on AEW more than it should. This was just like a bad egg out of essentially like a really good batch, but it's unfortunate. I don't know what happens to Shawn from here. I don't even is there a quick comment that you guys want to bring up just really quick? What happens now, Lex?
To his credit, it seemed like both this and the Shawn Spears news segment. I don't know what that was last week. Like he was trying. He was clearly trying to make this good. He was trying to doing his best promo and everything. He clearly wasn't his heart was somewhat in this whole thing. But from here, I don't know. He lost to Cody at the pay-per-view, last year, and then it was just he was on Dark and doing a tag team thing, and now he forgot about the whole tag team thing. It's just I don't know. Maybe he goes back to doing that. Maybe he just is just another guy, a good hand who can just have a good match with someone and put them over in the. I don't know. He wanted to end his career on his terms, and if these are his terms, then okay. But I don't really know why he would want to go like this. But yeah, that's all I can say.
Let's go to Wolf on this because you had a point as well. Good point.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I'm not going to defend it. I will say I don't think it was a complete burial, and I'm not going to go as far as to say Shawn Spears can't be saved. It'll take some work, but Jinder Mahal is kind of an example that anyone can be built up to be champion, whether you agree with it or whether you agree that it makes sense or not.
Fair. But
it's very possible to save anybody. It depends on what they want to do, but this isn't the end-all be-all for Shawn Spears. There's hope there. And, he's committed to it all. You look at the terrible Scooby-Doo live-action movies, Matthew Lillard is giving it all as Shaggy, even though the material is crap. So you can at least appreciate effort in there. And that effort will eventually be rewarded if the right people, take notice of it. So I have hope for Shawn Spears. I don't think he's done.
Pete, any last words on this, or?
Honestly, I've never cared about Sean Spears that much, and since he's gone to AEW, he hasn't done anything to make me want to care about him. I hated the 10 chance. I'll be perfectly honest. I never
Sorry.
on. I hated that stuff,
Sorry.
especially when it started bleeding over into matches where he wasn't
Right,
even
yeah,
involved
yeah.
in
Oh,
them.
that was bad. Yeah.
That was horrific. And that ruined some of those matches for me. So I don't forgive him for that.
It's his
So
fault.
basically, I don't really care what happens to Sean Spears from here. If he gets saved and something comes of it, great. If he doesn't, then to me,
No sleep lost.
whatever. I think Dustin Rhodes is still absolutely fine from this. Like, as stupid as
We
that
didn't even
sounds,
talk
he was
about Dustin,
involved in this. So he can easily go into a feud with something else and he can just move on. And he still has so much name value that I think eventually, maybe a year down the line, this point next year, we might be looking at Dustin Rhodes' retirement potential matches. He did say when he first joined, he had 2 or 3 years left in him. We're a year or so past that now. So he thinks he's maybe got another year properly in him. So he's got stories to build on from here, so he's fine. Spears, I just don't care.
Just, I think the one note we can close off on is, Pete, on behalf of everybody in attendance at the Air Canada Center, the night before Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver Toronto 2016. I'm sorry for the 10 chants. Do I regret chanting with the crowd? No, but it is what it is. Let's move on. The TNT Championship match. Lance Archer, Cody Rhodes, the man who we wondered if we would ever see a title on him, if we would ever get that big moment in AEW, has finally happened. He had his moment. Cody Rhodes is the new TNT champion. Of course, let the record stand that from the belt design, which was the red strap, the silver plaques, or the unofficial Raw Tag Team Championship, it is not a complete design yet. Just in case if anybody thought that was. Again, I'm happy for Cody. Obviously, I wanted Lance to win, but I'm happy for Cody. He gave himself the moment. It's hard to say because obviously, he's the creator of this. I know a lot of people are like, well, you don't want Cody booking himself or blah 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 blah. But this was deserving. He's a great guy. He's a great promo. He's a good in ring performer. And why not? This was his moment. He got his title from Mike Tyson, who wasn't that impactful at the end of the day, as we all were hoping that it was not the case. He did give us some great memes. He did give us some great moments. You laughing, like when Lance Archer chokeslammed the jobber, and sees Tyson shocked, but then starting to laugh, and like helping Arn Anderson and Jake Roberts getting kicked out. He had his moments, but nothing drastically big, or like he punches somebody and then hands somebody that like helps somebody win the title, like pin, whatever. I'm happy with it. It is what it is. Let's start with Wolf here.
I've never been a huge Mike Tyson fan. I don't care for him personally. I'm just not really going to touch that. I'm glad he wasn't too involved. I'm very happy Cody won. I know a lot of people are upset that Arn Anderson interfered on Cody's behalf. I, however, am ecstatic that Arn Anderson interfered on Cody's behalf because it kind of contributes to my ongoing theory that they're slowly turning Cody heel and that he is taking those shortcuts and that maybe the heels that are saying all these things about him are right. Like, would a great big babyface win for Cody and a title victory be great? Sure. But we got that at All In with Nick Aldis. We don't need that a second time. So we need these shades of gray, and that's something that AEW really excels at. And we got a really good Southern-style storytelling match that we always get from Cody Rhodes, where he's staring Jake the Snake Roberts right in the eye and does a DDT right in front of him. Chef's kiss. I loved it. I thought this match was great. I don't think it was like match of the night or anything, but like all Cody Rhodes matches, it tells a story, and that's something he definitely inherited from his dad.
Pete.
I'll be honest, I was actually a little bit disappointed with this match. And that shows you how good this show was, because I still thought this match was good, but of the matches that went longer than 10 minutes, I think it was probably the worst and most disappointing one on the show, in my opinion. I think it's the match that I think would have worked a lot better with a crowd there and a proper crowd there. To buy into the spots when the interference was happening, to buy into maybe like appearing with the bag with the snake and stuff. Maybe even buy in with Mike Tyson getting on the ramp to like block it off. I feel like a crowd would buy into that moment, but with it not there, it just didn't really click for me. Especially the finish. It made, in my opinion, Archer look a little bit stupid because he watched basically Jake Snake come down the ramp and he just stood there watching it And then when Mike Tyson got on the way, he just kind of like leant on the ropes and just kind of like waited to get hit. And he kind of went, well, what are you actually doing? He was still kept a bit strong, which I'm thankful for. I still think he's got a lot going on for him. I think he could be a good challenger for Moxley down the line as well. But I think going into this match, I thought it was going to be one of the best ones on the show. And when it wasn't, I was a little bit disappointed. Still good. Like, it's probably like a 7 out of 10 match for me, which shows the rest of it was really good in my opinion. But I expected it to be another level, I think.
Okay. Lex, before you make your comments, and I want you to give me a short and quick answer. Before the night began, before Double or Nothing began, because I wanted you to explain this on the podcast. I caught you off guard here. I apologize. But to introduce the AEW TNT title, we had a photo of Mike. we had a photo of Mike Tyson in the middle, and then to Mike Tyson's left,
God.
we had the Rhodes pack. We had, I believe,
This is
Cody,
Wolfman's
Brandy,
fault.
Cody, Arn, and Brandy, if I'm not mistaken. And on Tyson's right, we had Lance Archer. We had just Snake. A very professional, very like maybe UFC-esque. Hey, here's the introduction. Here's the title. Here are the competitors and their camps. Lex, you were very, very bugged by it. So very quickly, I don't want you to elaborate. I don't want you to go off on a tangent here. Why did that bug you?
Wait, Alexa, set a timer for 45 seconds.
Thank you. So Lex, very, very quick before we get to your comments, why did it bug you? And why are
I
you?
don't know. Okay,
Go for it.
it's okay. People got really upset when I think Titus O'Neil posted an Instagram photo from one of their big European tours, and it was a bunch of the wrestlers, posing in front of like a big thing, all arms together, buddy, we're all pals. And among them were Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, who were engaged in a very intense, personal feud at the time. And a lot of people, gave them shit for that. And to me, seeing Jake Roberts and Cody like 6 feet from each other with both of them smiling like, yeah, we're being professional. We're taking this picture with Tony Khan, the new TNT championship. Cody just being very, very chill, being so close to the guy who borderline sexually assaulted his wife, a couple weeks ago. Like that, I didn't like that. And if it was just a picture that was, used somewhere else, that's one thing. But Tony Khan, it was on Tony Khan's official Instagram.
Alexa, off.
And yeah, I just didn't think that was a good way to do business. I thought Cody was smarter than that. That's just me.
Fair enough. I mean, like I said, it's everyone will have their opinions on it. I no offense, I low-key laughed just because, as somebody who works in sports, I've seen World Series managers, Super Bowl coaches get together, have their press conferences.
Right, but they don't do the things that we do in wrestling. They don't do the same things people do.
I know. Wrestling is a big story, and I just feel like with how AEW likes to present itself as like that's real sports, that real with the scrums at the end of the pay-per-views you want. So I personally, for me, in my opinion, because I don't want to entertain this too long because I do want to get to your thoughts. I thought it was safe because again, that's stuff that happens in sports. You'll see like the weight off, the face off, you'll see like the 2 poses with championship titles in many different companies. It is what it is. I just wanted to quickly brought that up because that was a little fun argument that we had. Not fun, it was crazy argument before the pay-per-view started. So let's get your comments on the match, your thoughts overall.
I enjoyed the match. I thought, even though Cody won, he still made Archer look like a monster. He got beat up for like most of the match. Cody did. He got thrown over the freaking ring post to the floor by Archer when I saw it grabbed a hold of a little camera that was on top of the ring post, like protected, I assume, and then it got this really actually not pretty good shot of Archer's face right afterwards.
That was a big drop. That's like a massive drop.
Cody did, his signature things. He did the DDT in front of Jake Roberts, and then he did the, Dusty Rhodes Bionic Elbow, and he did Dustin's finisher and things like that. So, and he did a Stinger Splash as well. Cody was in good form. Lance Archer was in good form. Definitely not the best Cody match we've seen, for certain. It had some, bells and whistles, but not as many as past ones we've seen. So I appreciated that a little bit, besides Arn, interfering. And I'm curious to see where that goes, why Arn interfered on Cody's behalf and then hid from the referee like a heel. So, that intrigued me. I thought the match was pretty good, and I was happy to see Cody win. Like I said, I thought he's been very generous with taking losses on big shows with MJF and Jericho and things like that. So I think now is his time, and he can defend that title and have great matches with a lot of different people in defense of the title, and to elevate the others while still, being a champion and being the face of the company. So I thought it was good.
I'm just happy that at the end of the day that Cody Rhodes found himself like a good balance between like, I don't want to be, completely, I don't want to be shoved in people's faces a lot, but I also do want like those moments. So I'm happy he found that balance with the TNT title. It's a good title for him to have. I know the world title would have caused him some conversation, but honestly, good for him. And
if he can't compete for a singles title, then what's he even doing on TV? Like, what's the point of him, wrestling and getting wins and things like that if he can't compete for a title at least? So
I think before I move on, I think the one thing to bring up is that like I forgot who said. I know some people say like sometimes a person does not need a title to stand out, and I think Bray Wyatt is a big example of that, or in I guess in the podcast case, Wolf. But I like I said, I think this was good. It's I kind of agree with Jericho in that sense when he says that the title can be just a prop, and it's a good prop for Cody to have. I don't know what else to say other than like I'm happy that Cody can get his moments, and it's gonna be more entertaining to watch him moving forward. The casino. Go, sorry, Pete.
I think one of the quick points there is also, as the first champion to hold that belt, I think down the line when you look back, Cody Rhodes being that first champion does give it that little boost of prestige as well. And when he comes down to defending it, he's going to put on some great matches. He's going to build some great feuds because he does. And I think it elevates that title early on to be a top mid-card title rather than just a secondary forgotten one.
Yeah, and I know I don't know if they're going to be introducing more titles along the way, but this is a good secondary title, good mid-card title in the company at this time. So, congrats to him and Gesundheit to Wolf. Let's move on to the casino ladder match. That was a wild, how I said, a wild, entertaining mess. I know there were some comments saying it was just a mess overall, especially with interferences. I get that. I had a fun time with it. The Royal Rumble aspect to that match, I think, worked. Kind of funny that both members of SCU kicked us off, very Royal Rumble-ish. It's every man for themselves. No signs of ending that match. Not too many signs of that match ending before number 9. And, of course, number 9 ended up being the mystery opponent. The mystery entry, which was Brian Cage, making his AEW debut. He grabs that poker chip looking extremely strong and extremely big. And of course, with Taz by his side, I like that a lot because I like Taz. I miss Taz. Again, I thought it was a fun, entertaining mess, like I said. And it's what to be honest, like at the end of the day, what do you expect? It's a ladder match, no disqualifications, anything goes. If people come in, take over, help their opponents out. It's not like that big of a shock because again, it's no disqualification. Anything goes. So I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. My takeaway: Orange Cassidy asking the commentary team, "How do you win a ladder match?" I love that. I'm just a big Orange Cassidy. I'm just a big Orange Cassidy fan. So let's start with the other biggest Orange Cassidy fan on the podcast, Mr. Alex Mirza. Alex, your thoughts on the ladder match?
I'll wait for the sound of the crinkling bag.
As Wolf gets his pretzels in excitement to hear his thoughts. Lex, your thoughts on the ladder match?
I saw a funny meme earlier of it was like, I want to go see Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. If we have Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman at home, it's a picture of Brian Cage and Taz. But anyway, no, I thought the match was good. I thought, I think intentionally it took a little while to get going because, all the people weren't in the match yet at the start. I think, they kind of built it. They did some big spots at the opening, but they kind of kept it slow a little bit. They didn't go too crazy until everyone got out there. Then when Brian Cage came out, like there was just a total shift. Everything changed. Like he was throwing people around. He was just demolishing everybody. Everyone had to team up on him to get him out of there. And then he just comes back and just destroys everybody. I think it was a great turn for Brian Cage. I think a lot of people in this match stood out. Funnily enough, it came down to our two picks, which was Brian Cage, the mystery person, and Darby Allin were the two final guys kind of fighting in the ring before the match ended. So it could have been either one of them. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought there was good stuff. I liked seeing SCU being, the good guys and just wrestling at the start. I liked seeing Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc interfering, because why wouldn't you? You're heels, no DQ. Orange Cassidy doing his. I did laugh when he stood on a downed ladder, tried to reach the belt, or the poker chip or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. Comedy aside, like I find it hard to get behind a character who is not interested in winning or succeeding. If they don't care, why should I care? It's that kind of thing. Colt Cabana had like a couple good moments. Joey Janela was Joey Janela. Luchasaurus was Luchasaurus. Good stuff. Besides the Marco stunt with the tiny ladder thing, didn't like that. And you can tell JR didn't like it either. He went silent when that happened, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, this was the Brian Cage show, the Brian Cage match. I think, even though he didn't they were smart to not have him take too many big bumps because he was just injured. But I'm looking forward to seeing him and Moxley face off. You know, I saw him in Lucha Underground TNA. He's very good for his size. He's not too dangerous. He can do a lot of good stuff. So I think this was a good match as far as getting Brian Cage over as a brand new big threat. So I thought it was good.
Of course, Brian Cage, John Moxley now announced for the next Fyter Fest. It was supposed to be over a pizza territory in the UK. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen now, as PDS wallows in sadness. So yes, some sympathy for Mr. Atkinson, please, on the podcast. So that's going to happen very, very soon. Actually, that's all I really need to say. Atkinson, let's go to you. Pete, are you there? Hello.
I thought, well, first of all, SCU are idiots. SCU are absolutely
They're noble men.
This match. I am here. The hell's going on?
Oh, boy, now? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Oh, boy.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. Just try to go. Okay. If not, we'll go to Wolf again.
Whatever. Well, the first point I was going to make is SCU are morons because they started in this match together. They could have easily just one of them sent them up the ladder to win that thing, and then later on, if they'd won the title, say, "Okay, I'll defend it against you down the line," because that would just make common sense from a tag team thing. But other than that, I thought it was a good match. I thought when the mystery competitor's number 9, it kind of builds a suspense to that mystery competitor, but you know the match isn't going to end before that because the mystery competitor has to come out. I thought Darby Allin's spot was stupidly insane. And
the skateboard one, right? Yeah. Unreal.
Both of them.
That was nuts. When Joey Janela came out, he started going wild around the ring. I was a little bit upset because I could just all I could think of in my head was Rey Fenix doing that and going nuts around the ring and how his spots would have been in that scenario. So, which I think is a bit disappointing that he had to miss out on this. But I called in the chat, I've called in other places. I thought Brian Cage was a good chance to be the mystery competitor. And it was one of the reasons I picked mystery competitor to win this match. I think it's the right decision. I thought a good match. It gets him over strong first. And we've been coming out with Taz as well. I think you've got a ready-made storyline of Brian Cage versus Darby Allin. And I can't wait to see that match. I think that'd be a fantastic match.
Champion.
Matthew Cardona is everywhere except when you need him to be somewhere.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that I'm very happy I didn't Photoshop a little statue for you. I mean,
doesn't matter. I won.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't care about that. I would have been ecstatic if I was like right on my Babe Ruth shot of Matthew Cardona winning. But the mystery opponent won, which I was right about. I wasn't expecting Brian Cage, but it makes sense. It wasn't one of those oh my god surprises, but it was one of those oh that's pretty cool surprises. You know, you're not like over the moon about it, but you can see where it's going. You enjoy it. Him and Taz are gonna. Is that a train?
No, I don't live near train tracks. I don't know what that is.
That's even scarier.
Yeah. As you
Isn't that the noise they make in A Quiet Place to attract the things?
As you were.
Okay. But yeah, you know, there were a lot of great spots in this match. I appreciated Orange Cassidy's comedy because I appreciate Orange Cassidy. Colt Cabana's spot, like with the ladder, and he's like, his fingers get caught in it. That was really funny.
That was awful.
And like, and on Twitter, like he's like, the only reason I'm able to tweet right now is because iPhones have talk to text, which was really funny. That's a good follow. But you know, if I didn't get Brock Lesnar on the top of the building tossing barrels like Donkey Kong at Money in the Bank, I'm really glad I got Brian Cage tossing Darby Allin on top of a ladder at Double or Nothing. That's almost better than that. I'm like, oh. Okay, AEW is going to listen to this podcast and use our ideas, or Brandon Stroud's ideas. But the point is, I popped for that. It was a little awkward to set up, but there's some risks with that. And it did what they wanted, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Brian Cage does. Him versus Moxley is going to be a good match.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that if that mystery competitor was like a former WWE guy, obviously the reception would have been insanely big. No doubt about it. But I'm kind of happy that it wasn't. You know, I'm happy it's a guy who originally is from Impact Wrestling or TNA, if you want to go there. And
no one wants to go there.
I know, but again, great debut, great way to make somebody look strong, I guess, in kayfabe. But yeah, I guess it was set up really well. It was set up really nicely. Good for him. That's gonna be something to look forward to down the line. Moving forward is the AEW World Championship match, and of course, in regards to the podcast championship, that, like I said earlier, it was a time that helped determine Wolf's win. The match came in at 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Surprisingly, fairly short, I would say, but still highly effective, especially with that last big moment at the end with the sudden smash through the end of the steps on the ramp there, which reminded me of the ECW days of Bam Bam Bigelow and Taz. I believe it was them two going through that ECW ramp many moons ago. Wolf, let's start with you. Your thoughts on Moxley retaining and all that, and your thoughts on Brody. You know the deal. Have at it.
For selfish reasons and my championship, I'm glad this match was kept short. I didn't think it needed to be that long. They can tell an effective story, you know, with the time they had. And they did. Brody Lee still looks great. It took a lot to take him out. It took going through the damn ramp to slow him down. And even then, you couldn't keep him down with a pin. So Moxley just had to reach into like his darkest steps and like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to choke you until you pass out. And he didn't tap. The strongest submission wins for a loser. That sentence does not make sense, but whatever.
No, we got it.
Some of the best submissions are the ones where the loser passes out because it really protects you and it shows that you won't give up. I think that John Cena's only tapped out 3 times in his life, but he's had 4 submission losses. The last one was to Rusev, and that was him passing out in the Accolade, and that kept him looking strong. So this, I don't think Brody Lee is hurt by. I feel like they can even go back to this story sometime in the future, and Moxley gets another tough win under his belt.
Pete?
Yeah, I think it was a good match. I thought it built well, and as you said, I think with the Brody Lee spot at the end, he was kept so strong. He got paradigm shifted through the stage, went straight back in the ring, dazed and confused, blood pouring down his face. Gets paradigm shift immediately and kicks out a 1. So if that's not trying to keep the guys strong, I don't know what is. He then gets an elevated paradigm shift, kicks out again. So he's kicked out of basically Moxley putting his finisher through the stage, hitting the worst version of the finisher straight after that, and then hitting the elevated version of the finisher straight after that, and he's kicked out of all of it, which that is keeping the guy strong, and they've clearly got some big things still in mind for him if they're doing that. I love the finish. I thought they made great use of the areas. I thought they made great use of the area around the ring. Obviously, referee's discretion played quite a big part in some of this match, but I don't care about that because I thought this match was exactly what it needed to be. It got Brody Lee over strong, showed what he can do in the ring. They put in a great match together. It was different from everything else on the show, and it worked perfectly for me.
Mr. Mirza?
I mean, maybe it's because I was timing the match out because I was, fingers crossed that it was going to be a long one because it would help me win. It did feel as short as it was. I think because it was going up against, what was going to come after this, which is a freaking 30-minute long. I don't even know how long the main event was. So I think for those reasons, it probably had to be the length that it was. I definitely feel like they could have gone longer if they had to and done more. But for what they did, I thought was really, really good. I was really happy to see, these two guys who have a lot of good chemistry, work well together. Have this big brawl of a match, just all kinds of things going everywhere, slamming each other into stage props, and just, it was a fight. It felt like a fight, and I enjoyed that. I do agree that they kept Brody Lee strong with having him kick out of the big moves and just go down to the sleeper hold and everything. So. Yeah, I think they did a good job with both these guys. I'll hold my opinions about the referee's discretion thing. How world championship matches are effectively, no disqualification a lot of times in AEW. But it's fine to an extent. But I thought they did a really good job with this match, and I wouldn't be upset to see them fight again with more time sometime in the future.
It probably will happen. I don't think we'll have to wait till maybe All Out in September. But I mean, it will happen again, and I'm happy that like Wolf and Pizza, I'm very happy that the match ended the way that it did, again, to quote unquote make him look strong. He never tapped out. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest examples of that in wrestling history is Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. He never tapped out, but the guy still looks strong as heck. So Brody, I think that was the right call for Brody Lee. I'm very happy that was the case. Again, to me, in my opinion, even if he did tap out or even if he did pin, the guy is still strong as heck. And there's the great thing about wrestling is that you can still work your stories around. You can still like build your show and still find a way to make them look strong. So to me, it's not that impactful, but there was a way to, I guess, quote unquote, keep that momentum. That was it. And so good on them to keeping them strong there. But let's go to that the main event, one of the wildest matches, I think. And look, for example, right now we're bordering 48, 47 minutes, and we're about to have a field day with this one. The Stadium Stampede match, Matt Hardy and the Elite defeating the Inner Circle. To Alexis' point, 34 minutes, and I thought it was 45 to an hour, but
Yeah, I felt like that.
That was some of the funniest and most like quick passing 34 minutes I think I've ever had in wrestling. That what happened in that match was just so funny. I was struggling to breathe because how often I was laughing with this match. There's so much fun stuff all around, from Paige going to the bar, parking his horse, leaving it there, to the pool of reincarnation with Matt Hardy, which has turned some heads, including from this guy below me. We'll get his thoughts in a bit. The Jericho throwing the challenge flag to Aubrey, so I want going inside a medical tent to calling it the replay booth. The 100-yard, I believe it's called the Sunset Flips, which I want to point out. I want to start off with that because sorry, whatever it is. I was telling my friends, I'm like, they're gonna go 100 yards. Like, no, they're not. My friends were like, no, they're not. I'm like, they're going 100. They got to the 10, they got to the 5, and then to the 50, and then to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5 touchdown. And he spiked Sammy, which looked painful as heck. But and then, of course, to put the icing on the cake, and I know I'm missing so many more funny moments. That the one-winged angel, I believe it was a one-winged angel from what it was an insane height, and football stadiums are very massive. I've been in 2 of them. Wolf has been in a few. I don't know if the rest of you guys have, but they're big. And that drop in Jacksonville Stadium, oh my goodness gracious, that looked really bad. Obviously, I'm sure there was like a cushioning after that big fall with the big box that they landed on.
See the giant airbag and whatever that was supposed to be. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he needed it though. Otherwise, they were dead.
Oh, yeah, without question.
I mean, what made me freak out was as he's jumping, right, when you thought he was going to hit, no, there was still like an extra second of drop, and you're like, that is high. Very, very, very high. All around, definitely one of my best pre-tape matches. I did appreciate that, even though this was recorded the day before Double or Nothing. I appreciate that their method of pre-tape matches was just simply a regular match as opposed to the cinematic style that WWE's gone with the Boneyard and Firefly. So I appreciate that they made they out of the ring, the Super Bowl style entrance. There's so much fun stuff about it, but I don't want to keep going because I'm sure everybody has something to say about it. But again, I just loved every bit. And as a big NFL guy, as a big sports guy, I just put a big smile on my face. Pete, let's start with you on this.
I saw a thing online. I can't remember where I saw it, but someone put on, and in wrestling, when things just shouldn't make sense, and you started off with a team of 5 guys coming out in matching gear in a stadium with a ring on the halfway line, with the Elite end zone at one end, the Inner Circle end zone at the other. Then you have 4 people in non-matching thing come out the other end. One doing it was meant to be this gothic ancient figure called Damascus. They go off into a brawl where they're smashing trash cans off each other's head. Then you have a cowboy turn up late, riding on a horse, and chase one guy out of the stadium, chase him all the way around the back, lose the guy, get off the horse, think, sod this, and go to the bar.
Oh,
the guy comes back in the stadium celebrating, and this all makes sense. In a wrestling point, when you look at this and go, yeah, that makes sense by these characters. Yeah, this works. Nothing else in the world can give you that joyous moment where you go, look at these characters and just laugh. And the world is right now. The world is sorry for the language. The world's a horrible, dreadful place that we live in. And right now, what everyone needs more than anything is just to laugh at something. And I've never laughed so much at a wrestling match as I did this one. It was absolutely brilliant from that standpoint of what, in my opinion, the wrestling world needed right now. And that was just something to put a smile on your face.
The champion, Wolf.
Then It's a cough, not a sneeze, but thank you.
Whatever the kids say.
What I really love about the Elite, like what really got me into being the Elite in the first place, these are guys that are very passionate about wrestling. It's very obvious, like, that they've been loving this since they were little kids. They need that kind of passion to be able to have fun with it and like do all this comedic stuff that just works. They're consistent with their characters. And that's why, like Pete said, you buy into this stuff because it works within the world that they've established. Like Hangman having a horse just works for his character. I don't know why it doesn't feel as ridiculous as it should, but that's probably because they've established that's who he is. Like it was goofy. Like traditional wrestling fans are gonna hate this or whatever, but there's clearly passion here. There's fun. There's good, like actual good comedy, and that's something that I personally have always enjoyed. It's not going to be from everybody, but if you enjoy this, I'm really glad you do. I popped for a horse, and I never thought that would happen. And what I thought makes even less sense is that it does make sense that it happens. And going into a referee booth, because that's who Chris Jericho is. He is that heel that doesn't believe that he had a 2 count instead of a 3, and he does want that. And it works within because they take it seriously, and that's who these characters are, and that's just why everything about this works. When on paper, if you describe it to somebody, it absolutely shouldn't, because they're within the confines of the world they've established, and the characters are just consistent. I love this. This is why I love the Elite. This is why I'm a huge AEW fan.
I just want to point. Actually, I forgot my point. Never mind. I forgot what I was. I forgot what I was gonna say. I had it in my head and it just slipped, and it's going to bug me. Anyways, Lex, let's go with you. And I picked you last for a reason because I've seen your facial expressions as we spoke. You have different opinions. You're lay it on us. What did you think? Because I know you shared with us, and in your review, which there's a link in the description below if you want to read Lex's full thoughts on this. Lex, your thoughts on the whole thing.
All right, I came into this whole deal fully prepared to be, the negative Nancy, I guess, or the Grinch of this whole affair.
Now, what else is new?
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna go so far as to say I hated the whole thing. I did not hate the whole thing at all. I thought there was some really great stuff in there. I loved the bar fights part. I thought Jericho, pretty much everything Jericho did was great. I thought the opening stages, I thought the dive off the goalpost was in character. You know? I thought Sammy Guevara was a great just foil for everything that was going on and everything. God, what else? I can't go so far as to say that I, didn't like the match entirely. Okay. There was definitely stuff I enjoyed, and there was stuff that clearly, the whole thing was clearly there to give us a laugh, to help us, to give us some escapism, to help us, just sit back and enjoy this crazy, huge production that clearly had a lot of passion and creativity and blood, sweat, and tears got put into it. And, so from that standpoint, I can definitely commend them for just, clearly a lot of effort and work that went into this. But okay, here's I'm not going to just, because I'm a fan, I'm not someone who's ever going to be, an actual part of wrestling or anything. So I'm just a fan. Okay. So I'm going to approach this as a fan and say that when I watch professional wrestling, most of the time I am looking to be taken on a emotional ride. I'm looking to be, to watch a match that I can follow and get invested in, where I'm not watching it and, in my head thinking, oh, this is fake. I can see how that's fake, blah, yada, yada, yada. When I watch professional wrestling, I want to be engaged. I want to feel that there are stakes to what I'm watching, that these are two, I guess, real competitors who want to win, and I really want to get invested in that way into what I'm watching. That doesn't mean I'm against, the more sports entertainment style that WWE clearly has been doing with things like the Boneyard match, the Firefly Funhouse match, things like that. And I think, this was definitely this match took what the groundwork that was laid by those matches and by the found deletion, things like that, and sort of just magnified it 1,000 times over, and just had so much going on. And just I remember Tony Khan saying that he hoped it could be an annual thing, and I think, how could they top this? How could they possibly do more than what they did in this match? So, I see tons of people, on Twitter. I'm a big Twitter guy. I see a lot of people saying, how much they loved it. And I'm glad people loved it. I am glad that people enjoyed it and were entertained by it and got to, get the escapism they needed with everything going on in the world right now. And I won't deny that I enjoyed parts of it, but yeah, my ideal professional wrestling show and match and everything like that is one that I can really get invested in, that I can be emotionally just pulled into and just really want to find out what happened. I don't always – sports entertainment is one thing, but when I want to watch professional wrestling, I don't always want to be – I don't necessarily watch it to laugh. And obviously there's a lot of great laughs in this, but that's not my, I guess, preferred way of watching wrestling. That's just me. I still think, this was a really impressive thing they did. Clearly, a lot of people loved it. It brought a lot of people joy, so I'm not going to fault them for that. Just to summarize, there were things in it I didn't like, but there was a lot in it that I thought was very well done and entertaining. Would I want to see something like this all the time? Probably not. Would I prefer to see this big year-long feud end in a big bloody brawl that I could really get engaged in and be like, oh my God, what's happening? Probably. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have value. That doesn't mean it wasn't an impressive thing they did.
Okay.
And kudos to them for thinking outside the box like they always do. And if they can bring those two worlds together, sports entertainment, professional wrestling, in a cohesive manner, they could be the ones to do it. And I'm very I thumbs up to them for the effort. Clearly. Gotcha.
I'll say this. I did say this to the group. And I think it was a bit bold for me to say when I was talking to you guys after the night ended. I was happy that this happened instead of the blood and guts of potential War Games match, which I know a lot of people may find that a little bit interesting, somewhat controversial. Not really, I guess, but I say that because given the conditions that we're in now, right? This is weirdly the time to be as creatively free as you could possibly get, and they took advantage of that and they nailed it home, right? And I feel like in a blood and guts match, obviously it would have been fantastic if it happened, but I feel like judging by what they did, I feel like it felt like they were telling us we wouldn't have been able to do this. We wouldn't have been able to have as much fun as we had. Obviously, we need to be serious. And we need that professional wrestling match. But I like that they just went with what they wanted to do. They went all out. They made sure they made a smile on it, and I really appreciate that. Which is why I'm happy that this ended up happening the way that it did. Obviously, some final thoughts. I know some people were a bit bugged with the pool moment, especially after what happened in recent news in real life news with Chad Gaspar, which I understand. I think the takeaway from that is thankfully, Hardy was smiling. Obviously, you can tell he was okay with it, and we got the whole blast from the past with Matt Hardy version 1 with his original gimmick and all that. How somehow they got away with it, but I understand Alex's point, obviously, but I think just to summarize it all, I think I'm very happy that they got to have fun with this. They got to be creatively free, and they did what they just want to do best, entertain us and just put on the best possible product possible, which I think they did. I'm going to end off on this note really, really quick because we are pushing a little bit over time here. I did get a comment on YouTube. Surprisingly, people that we don't know are actually watching this. Wow. If the comment was from Dario P, and he said the predictions episode was great. Shucks. The question was, this was before the Double or Nothing pay-per-view happened, but he said with all this heat between Paige and the Young Bucks and all the bubbly bunch, quote unquote, cohesiveness. Wow, I cannot speak. Cohesiveness. Are they setting up for someone to break away from the inner circle? And his example was Sammy Guevara, who lost to Matt Hardy in the tournament. Could he be cast out if they lose? Obviously, the inner circle lost. Really, really quick. Does that make sense? You see, just maybe some sort of friction down the line, or is it just a loss and they continue on with the group? Lex, really quick.
They announced a inner circle pep rally for tonight's show. In my brain, I thought, is this going to be like a festival of friendship thing? Is something going to go down and some horrible things going to happen? But I hope not. I think there's a lot of money to be made with Jericho and Sammy Guevara as mentor and student, and I think they could really go a long way with it. And I do hope that there is some. They could tease some tension, but in the long run, I think it's better to keep them together.
Pete.
Yeah, I don't see them splitting up anytime soon. I think, especially with Sammy Guevara, I think Jericho has taken this guy under his wing. He really appreciates him. Sammy is quickly becoming my favorite wrestler in AEW. I think he's probably the best seller they've got. Everything he did in that match was absolutely hilarious. And as Lex said in his review there, he said he would love to see the Blood and Guts match. I still think we might get that down the line.
We could. We very well could.
It might not be the same team exactly, but we still might get that. And I would, again, love to see that. But I don't think we're going to split up yet. But eventually, maybe so, but not for the time being. And Sammy Guevara, what a wrestler he is turning out to be.
Wolf.
As somebody with a lot of plants, I'll say that we're putting the seeds in there, but we're not ready to harvest. So we might start getting some teases of the inner circle starting to break up, but I don't see it happening just yet. And I don't necessarily think it's maybe Sammy Guevara that they kick out. Maybe it's Jake Hager. You know, who knows? But the point is, we'll start building to it, but we're not ready.
My take is.
Do you remember on? Sorry. Do you remember on Raw that time where we had Kevin Owens and Jericho tease their breakup, and then immediately both go, "There's only one person to blame for this."
Roman Reigns.
I could imagine very much something like that happening again. Now with him and Sammy doing something again similar, where they tease the breakup and both go, "There's only one person to blame for this." Kenny Omega, something like that. Or
Kenny Omega, yeah.
And
I'm going to
tag title feud.
Oh right, yeah, they could be gold back.
Omega.
I'm gonna wrap it up with this. I agree with everybody's points, and from a personal standpoint, even like seeds or not, I just don't want to see it happen. They're so much fun. There's such a great faction. I haven't had this much fun with the faction in a while. Please no, but I hope that doesn't happen. So that's my take. Dario, thank you for your question, and of course, if anybody else has a question, comment on our YouTube videos. The comment section is open. Tweets are open. Every you can access this anywhere to reply to us. Send us something. We'll talk about it on the air. Thank you. Final thoughts, gentlemen. Once again, we got to quickly wrap it up because I know we've been going on for a while. Wolf, we'll start with you. The pay-per-view out of 5 stars and final summarizing thoughts. Very quick.
4.5 out of 5. This was a great show. I loved it. There was obviously some low spots, but I don't think anything that really brought it down too much. And it was catered basically to my style, so I enjoyed this a lot.
Atkinson.
4.25. There was one terrible moment, but for the most part, it was very, very good. And if the Stampede match does happen again next year, I don't know how they'll top it, but I'd love to see them try.
Lex.
I'll give it 4 stars. There was a lot of what I do like in wrestling, and ended with a lot of what I don't. But as a show, I think there was a lot of great stuff in it. For the deck they were dealt, I think they did a really good job with what they had. So I'll give it a 4 stars.
I'm gonna give it 4.5. A great pay-per-view. Again, they're still doing very well, working like the no crowd very well. I think, in my opinion, one of the better pay-per-views since WrestleMania. Even though there's not many pay-per-views to discuss, it even got me to buy an AEW shirt online on Pro Wrestling Tees because I wanted some AEW merch. That it sold me for sure. I couldn't add extra money for the soft touch shirt because it is still extremely expensive to ship to Canada. And at the end of the day, very happy it all went down. And at the end of the day, I'm very happy it was in a stadium where the Patriots won their 3rd Super Bowl. Woo! That is that. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon. So let's get to the closing. You made it to the end of the episode. I'm going to end off with this, and I feel like I'm saying that a lot. I'm very happy that AEW doesn't do pay-per-views as frequent as WWE because I feel like you appreciate it more, you're more engaged with it, and I think it's a refreshing when it comes to pay-per-views. It makes you feel more special. Of course, the next pay-per-view for AEW is All Out in September, and obviously we want to do more predictions for AEW. I believe that's going to be Fyter Fest, whenever that is, because we haven't had a date yet. Whatever it is, we'll be there to cover it, I hope, and that's something I can't wait for. Next week is our Patron of the month for the month of May because we've been busy with predictions. We didn't get a chance to do it in May, and I know next week is June, but we're gonna get to it. And of course, that is where I open up the floor to anybody who's a Middle Row patron on Patreon. They get to submit their topics, their opinions, what they think about this, whatever they want us to talk about in the world of wrestling. They submitted it, so here's a chance. Become a Middle Row patron if you can. Help support the podcast and submit your topics and what you want us to talk about. The deadline is tomorrow, Saturday at 11:59 p.m. and then I will pick one, and then we will shout you out. We'll give you a high honor, and we'll talk about whatever you wanted us to talk about on the podcast. And as always, that is that. Thank you so much for watching. Become a patron, like I said. Submit those topics on Patreon, Facebook, Twitter. Follow us there. Available wherever you get your podcast as usual. Subscribe if you can. We will see you guys next week. I'm Jose Taboada. Take care.